Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me again today. This is your host, idjester. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever had this situation come up where you're going to be meeting with your gaming group, whether it's board games or video games or RPGs or anything, and all of a sudden somebody can't come because their wife wants them to go to some stupid reunion, or somebody needs to go home and let the dog out. Somebody can't come because their car doesn't, is broken down. All kinds of situations come up. And then what ends up happening is, okay, well, you missed that session, and then, well, let's schedule the next one. Well, let's do it next Friday. Well, we can't do it next Friday because I'm going away. What about the following Friday? Well, we can't do it that weekend because another guy is having his brother-in-law come in. What about the following weekend? Well, I can't. I already got tickets to a hockey game. Whatever. And then all of a sudden what happens is, you go months and months and months, and then all of a sudden, pretty much, your gaming group breaks up. Now, this happens all the time to many, many groups. In fact, it happened to me in our group, where last September we took a break. Schedule wasn't working out with all of our players. October didn't work out. November, well, let's not get together in November because, you got the holidays. And then, well, December comes around, you got more holidays, and the winter's there. And, okay, well, let's just wait till January. Oh, we can't do it in January because of this. Blah, blah, blah. And pretty soon, all of a sudden, you're in August of the next year. And basically, a whole year goes by, and nothing gets done. And you don't get together, and it's just a big waste of time and effort for everyone. And then things kind of just die out because if people aren't doing it, then there's no sense in scheduling games and trying to arrange schedules and everything else. And this has happened, I don't know, within the last 10 years, I would say I've been in pretty much 8 to 10 different RPG groups. And we've had players come, we've had players go. Our game is broken up. We got together with different people. There's a couple of us that stayed together. Some of us didn't, etc., etc. And this, I think, is pretty much how life kind of interferes with what's going on with your gaming time and players' commitments and availability and everything else. So, with all that said, what's the answer? What can people do that are really interested, like me, to keep gaming and keep doing things and being able to play a role-playing game? And even though schedules don't work out very well, people don't have as much time as they used to have, the inconvenience of having to drive over to somebody's house and carry all your stuff around and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think pretty much the answer is VVTs. And what I mean by that is virtual tabletops. So what you're looking at here actually is a virtual tabletop application called Roll20. So virtual tabletop is basically a computer game that allows you to manipulate, download, and keep track of your D&D campaign. Everybody can log in from the safety and comfort of their own home, and you can play with voice communication, video, whatever. And there's lots of different VTTs out there that are available. And so I've kind of been investigating this for the last, month or so, because it didn't look like our group was getting together. Again, I was posting messages, hoping that we could work things out, schedules, one guy's not going to be available, blah, blah, blah. And so I introduced this to my players. And so this is kind of a video for my players and also any prospective players that might be coming to our group, because I've kind of introduced them to VTTs, virtual tabletops, and kind of was going over some of the advantages of virtual tabletops that we can use to at least continue to game and do it regularly, and then still be able to have our face-to-face meetings when our schedules do line up. So, like I said, I was going to create this video for just my group, but I thought, well, you know what, I might as well just post it for everyone out there, and anyone that wants to watch this, you can watch it. If you're a prospective player and you're coming possibly into our virtual tabletop group, well, welcome aboard, and watch the rest of this video series, I guess. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of introducing my players to the advantages of virtual tabletops, and kind of show them, because they have no idea, because I'm sure they haven't been investigating it, kind of what they can do, talk about them a little bit, and see if they would be interested in doing a virtual tabletop, so that we can continue to game when our schedules don't mesh up together very well. And I think we can continue to game this way. Plus, we can get some prospective players out there that are, looking to join different groups or whatever. Maybe they'll find out about our group. Plus, there's all kinds of disadvantages and everything. So, let's talk about the advantages of a virtual tabletop. Well, there's a bunch of advantages. First off, virtual tabletops are electronic. So it's kind of funny, when I was thinking about this and I'm typing up my email to my players, and I'm thinking, wow, I remember the last couple sessions we had, and basically everybody brought a laptop, and we were all hooked up electronically and keeping track of all of our D&D information, and nobody was using like paper and pens and anything from like, back in the like 90s or anything like that. Everybody was like using different programs, PC Gen, to create their characters and store their characters on their laptops, and it's definitely becoming an electronic age out there. And virtual tabletops, being electronic, are going to meld into that. And you're going to get to see what I'm talking about here throughout this video series when we're talking about VTTs and what they can do and how they operate and how they work. So being electronic, they're going to meld into your electronic capabilities. So if you have electronic character sheets, you can download them into another electronic program that will then read your character, and you will be able to play it. So one of the advantages right off the bat is, because everything's digital, everything's electronic, virtual tabletops pretty much mold into that, and all it does is give you an extension of what you're already doing with your characters, with your processes of keeping track of information and everything like that. So that's kind of the first big thing that I think virtual tabletops can do. The second thing is it keeps great track of bookkeeping and record keeping, then takes that management out of your hands and puts it into the actual programming of the virtual tabletop software. And just for an example, I know that if you're a current player of mine or have played Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, I remember we literally playing like a session that was nothing but like one big long combat, because with 4th edition you had different tokens to keep track of. Okay, well, I'm going to give you +2. This creature's got a -1 until the end of its next turn. This creature here is going to gain back 2 hit points if it attacks this creature, and blah blah blah. I'm trying to keep track of that. We, as our party group, tried many different ways. We tried different tokens to use. We used little colored, not paper, but kind of like a soft little foam board underneath each character to keep track of, okay, well, if this character is getting a plus or has a bonus to attack something, then we have to keep track of, okay, so put a purple thing under this character. When this character gets hit points back at the end of the next turn, we'll put an orange thing under his character. And it was just a freaking nightmare trying to keep track. I don't know how many times after the session we emailed out, okay, the items that you guys got, who's got these items? And there would be like 6 emails back and forth saying, okay, well, did anybody need this item? Anybody have? Well, I don't remember getting that item. No, et cetera, et cetera. Bookkeeping and record keeping is just immense issue and problem. And one of the advantages of a virtual tabletop is that it can keep track of all that information for you and help you manage the game in a reasonable and understanding way that will make things go much smoother, much faster, have many advantages. I should say, all virtual tabletops are different. There are some out there that have really good interface. Some that have really good capabilities with multiple systems. There are some that keep track of more information, some that are free, some that you have to pay for. I mean, each one has their own advantages and disadvantages. I don't think, personally, there's like a perfect virtual tabletop out there currently on the market. There is lots of really, really good ones, but is there the perfect one that's free that gives you everything? No. There's some out there that are really, really good, but you got to pay for them. And some out there that are really, really good and that are free, but you have to pay like a monthly subscription to get all of the updated perks of the system and, et cetera, et cetera. So all the virtual tabletops out there do things really well, and some of them do some things better than others. And I'm really looking forward to looking at some of these systems out there because I really want to show everybody exactly what they can do. So, bookkeeping and record keeping is going to be of paramount importance for all the players to keep track of hit points, items found, items lost, experience points, just the managing of the system. If they get a +1, a -1, a +2, are they getting hit points back? Are they losing hit points? Are they bleeding? Are they knocked down? Are they up? Are they blah, blah, blah? Without having to actually sit down and do that. A lot of the gaming virtual tabletop systems have that built into it already. And depending on which system you choose, you might have that built into it. Some of these you might need to program it into, and some of these are more generic and lets you just manage it however you want. So the second advantage, obviously, is the bookkeeping part. It takes that out of your hands and kind of makes it easier. Lets the computer, lets the program take care of all that stuff for you, so you can focus in on the really good aspects of RPG games or whatever gaming you're interested in doing. The third thing, obviously, when we talk about virtual tabletops, we're talking about ease and convenience. We're talking about the fact that people don't need to drag all their stuff halfway across town at a certain time to play face-to-face games. They can go home, they can relax, chill out, whatever. If they need to go to the bathroom, they need to answer the phone, they got to make a phone call, whatever. They can do that from the comfort of their home. They're not interrupting the game. They're not taking away. They're not sitting in my cold, dark basement on uncomfortable metal chairs. You can stay home and relax. So it's ease and convenience that you can do this. The other thing is, if we schedule something, we don't have to schedule like a whole gaming 4-hour, 6-hour game where, hey, Friday night from 6 o'clock to midnight, that's when we're playing. And that time constraint is really hard for some players to do because it's basically taking a whole day and night away from them to commit to the game. And a lot of people, they just don't have that time because of whatever situation they're in. Because either they're, they got family to worry about or other commitments, friends, holidays, whatever is going on. A lot of people just don't have the commitment where, okay, I need to be gone for 7 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, once a week or once every other week, which is basically going to screw up my life, my wife's life, the whole thing. So with virtual tabletops, you can say, oh, you know what? I got tickets to the hockey game. I can be on, back home at like 10 o'clock. We do like 11 to, 10 to 11, 10 to 11:30 one night. And hey, I'm going to get home from work late this night, so I can't do it until about 7 o'clock, but I could do like 7 to 9. And it's a lot easier to fit in these gaming schedules when people are when they're not having to commit to a major time constraint on them. So ease and convenience. And like I said, part of that is also the easy scheduling part of being able to schedule virtual tabletops when it's going to be more convenient for everybody. And if somebody's sick or whatever, yeah, okay, maybe they're sick, they don't feel like going out, but maybe they're well enough to sit in their computer and play. A lot of situations where, we couldn't play because we missed a session because so-and-so was sick. Well, they're sick and then they're sick. Some people just, I don't feel good, I got a headache or whatever, but I can stay home and sit at my computer and play another game. I can sit home and play D&D with a virtual tabletop, whatever. So, scheduling. And lastly, okay, not lastly, but mostly, one of the other situations that befalls most player groups for RPGs or whatever is you get 5, 6, 7, 8 people together. We had a group a couple years ago that had 8 players in it, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. And 4 months later, we had 3 people left because, 2 moved away, 1 couldn't do it anymore, whatever the situations were. We went from 8 to 3 or 4 in a matter of just a couple months. And players, if you just think about it, wherever you live, wherever your location is, the number of players that are willing to come to your house once or twice a month or however often you meet, drive across town, drag their stuff, meet people that they don't know, hang out with people that, play D&D with people they don't know, versus the number of players that I can post my campaign on the internet and say, Tuesday at 8 o'clock I'm playing. How many people want to join in? And the numbers are astronomically different. We're talking about maybe 10 to 12 people local, if I could find them, would be willing to come over to my house every other weekend for 4 to 6 hours to play. And of those 10 to 12 people, let's face it, some of them I probably wouldn't want around my house for 4 hours. So you have, first you have to track down the players, then you have to find out if they're any good, then you have to find out how they're compatible they are with you and your other players. I had a group session, we invited a new guy, and the new guy ended up getting along really well with one player, and really didn't get along with the other player. When the session was over, that player came to me and said, "Look it, this guy, I don't get along with this guy. His attitude, he just, I don't think I'm not going to play if he plays." And so, then you lose the, okay, sorry, I can't have you come back because one of my players, it didn't seem like you melded very well together. So you have to find players, you have to find their availability, make sure they're going to be able to come. All that is basically taken away with virtual tabletops. You post on the internet and say, I'm running a Roll20 campaign Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and you will probably have 85 people trying to sign up for that game session in a matter of a day. From what I understand, and I haven't posted my games online yet to find out availability or whatever, but the player database versus the DM database, there is a huge discrepancy. There are 10 to 20 times more players than there are DMs. So these players are looking for, obviously, games. So if I post a game, I should be able to come up with lots of players that are willing to join in and play. So virtual tabletops allow you that wonderful opportunity to not have to search down, find people that you can play in your local area. You can find them anywhere. And I'd actually done some virtual tabletops probably about 10 years ago, maybe even between 10 to 20 years ago, and back in the day. And I had a lady in England, a guy in Texas, a guy in Vancouver, and New York City, and we all played for like a year together. So, I mean, you can find people out there that are willing to play, willing to commit at least a couple couple hours each week, or maybe even more, because you'll have that opportunity to have a much bigger, huge database. So, with all of these great bonuses, being electronic and being able to manage your software, bookkeeping, record keeping, ease and convenience, scheduling, availability, and of course the huge database, what is really the downside to virtual tabletops? Why doesn't everybody use them? Well, part of it is a lot of people don't want to do online gaming. They want to do it face to face because of the camaraderie, the watching people's expressions and faces and all that stuff. So yeah, I can understand that. I can totally understand that, but I think that some of that is being built into some of the virtual tabletops, as you'll get to see here. There is a lot of emotes that you can do, and different things that are built in the program. In fact, one of the ones we're going to be looking at here next episode, Roll20, will actually let you play sound effects and music in the background, and to try to get players into the mood for a role-playing game, to try and make it more of a face-to-face game than an online game. An online game, there's seems to be, from what I understand, the biggest complaints is, the role-playing aspect, the camaraderie, watching somebody roll a 20 when they really needed to have a 20, or when the big baddie goes down, everybody jumps up and cheers, and all that. Well, I do understand that, and I understand that is an issue for some players out there. But like I said, I think a lot of that is being built into virtual tabletops. Now, it certainly won't compare to face-to-face with that aspect of it. There's nothing they can do. Although you can have your players and your DM and everybody have video, and everybody's linked together to watch one another, and so you get some of the camaraderie that way. And so there is some aspects that are not as good face-to-face, but are being built into virtual tabletops that way to try and alleviate some of the issues. In fact, virtual tabletops are so supported and so good nowadays. There are many, many groups out there that currently, even when they meet face-to-face, use a virtual tabletop program to manage their game and keep track of the database and keep track of the information for them. And it makes it so much easier. You can game with the virtual tabletop and a projector from a laptop and project it on the screen, and then manage the game this way and still have the face-to-face aspect. So virtual tabletops are kind of with the way things are going. I mean, who would have thought 15 or 20 years ago that you'd be able to download music at a touch of a button and have it wherever you went? Back in the day when, 20 years ago, that wasn't even thought possible. So I think virtual tabletops are the wave of the future. And so this is just kind of an introduction to what they are, the reasons behind them, I guess, my thoughts, my philosophies. Some people will totally agree with me, I think. Some people will be like, you don't know what you're talking about. But this is, like I said, mostly for my players and the discussion we're going to be having for understanding different virtual tabletops and what they can do and how they do it. So next episode, we're actually going to get in and show you one of these that I've been messing around with. And one of the other advantages in virtual tabletops is that you can make things up on the fly and also in the game session. So you can quickly and easily, most of these different gaming systems, come up with something for your players to be able to do ahead of time, or like I said, a lot of them you can do it on the fly, and that's something you really can't do face to face. If you're got a big adventure and they're headed to the cavern and going in to kill the kobolds, and all of a sudden they meet somebody and they get sidetracked and they start doing something else, you don't usually have maps available and calendars available and everything else available to go, oh shit, no, you guys need to go to the cavern because that's where you're supposed to go. So being virtual tabletop, it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to have access to create something on the fly very quickly and easily, as opposed to forcing your players into a certain situation that maybe they don't want to do, or maybe they aren't ready to do, or change their mind about what they're going to do. I mean, as a DM, I sit there and say, okay, so next session when we get together, what do you guys plan on doing so I can be prepared? And then they'll talk about it for a few minutes, and then we'll usually end the session there. And so then I have something to go on and build up and get ready for the next couple sessions or whatever. If a situation arises where all of a sudden your players are not going to do what they said they were going to do, and they change their mind and everything, and sort of kind of forcing your will as the DM upon them, you can, okay, all right, so you're going to head to this town instead. Okay, well, let me just spend a few minutes here and get something ready, and then boom, you're ready to go. So again, virtual tabletops have a really good need out there, whether it's for just groups that are looking for some way to manage their database. They're looking players and DMs looking for groups of players to play with, or just anything in between. They are definitely not like they used to be when back in the day when I was trying to manage anyways, a couple different campaigns running on the internet, and it was actually more work than it was effort to create. Than it would have been for a face-to-face game. So some players, I mean, it just depends on your situation. If you live in a town with some gaming stores and you can post something looking for players, you might be able to come up with face-to-face groups, and then you'll never need a virtual tabletop. You got access to plenty of players, you got access to locations, whatever. And then there's other players who live out in the boondocks. They don't have access to players all the time. So it really depends on your situation and your need. Right now, my need is 5th edition is coming out in 8 days. The Player's Handbook will be here. It has been almost 1 year since last we played because our group didn't continue when we took our break, and the scheduling and problems that way. I will be playing a 5th edition D&D. If it's with my current group, then great. Then we can do that. but people need to A, schedule and make sure they're available, or B, they need to say, I'm not available and I need, more leeway in scheduling and time, so I would be more than willing to do virtual tabletop. Or C, no, I'm not interested in doing virtual tabletop. My schedule just doesn't match up. That's fine. I will be going out and trying to find another group that will play with the virtual tabletop. So, I mean, it comes down to what your need is for a virtual tabletop. And if you want to play, then that's your only way to play. Then that's what you got to do. And that's kind of the situation I am in. And I'm sure there's lots of other people out there in my shoes that are like, oh yeah, I'd really like to play, but I don't have a group. I don't know enough people. I know some people that play D&D. They're not interested in joining another group, or they don't have time, or whatever. So it just comes down to, if I can find 5 or 6 players local that want to get together and play 5th edition, great. Then we'll do it face to face. If I can't, then I'll probably be doing it with virtual tabletop. So that's why I'm investigating it. I'm just letting my players know ahead of time. Here's what it does. Here's how it plays. This is what you can do with it. Is this something you're interested in doing? Is this something you'd be willing to try? And boom. I mean, the other thing is, we usually get together at the beginning of a campaign and spend a whole session doing like character creation and all that. You do this online now. Boom. Okay. I'm always online every night. Every single night I'm online doing something, playing games, whatever, watching videos, whatever. I'm always online. So if they want to go, hey, Scott, I can meet with you on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We can do character creation online together. Boom. Eric, you want to do it at 10 o'clock on Friday? Sure. Whatever. This way we can all do it ahead of time, not waste face-to-face time, because we know that's valuable, and get things started ahead of time, so that way when we do have our face-to-face games, we're ready to go, we're prepared, and we're ready to play. So next episode, and the couple after this, we'll be looking at some of the different variations out there on virtual tabletops and give you guys some more information about them. Kind of go over some of the advantages and disadvantages of them, talk about a few of them, and then we're going to start looking at a couple and finding out, is this what we need, or is this what I need, and is this worth my time to invest in doing? So we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts, comments, suggestions below. I'm sure there's probably people out there that disagree with things they say. If you do, leave your thought and comment. If you do agree, if you come in the same situation that I'm in, if you are a prospective player looking for a group, leave that information as well, because we might be looking for players to play with us. So until the next time, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.